So Paul Craig takes on Brendan Allen in the main event of this weekend's fight night. And I think the main question I have regarding this fight is, which version of Paul Craig is going to show up to take on Brendan Allen? Because, when you look at a guy like Paul Craig, I think that there's more than one version of Paul Craig when it comes to, how he's going to look in a fight. And you have the version of him that came up against Jamal Hill, back in 263 in 2021. He got a hold of that overhook on Jamal Hill, and it was pretty much it. And he ended up breaking his arm and TKOing him with elbows not even 2 minutes into the first round. He looked like an absolute monster in that fight. He had another first-round sub against Krylov, who, hasn't been the most active, but he's a legit guy, ranked light heavyweight, and I'm pretty sure. And then you have him fight guys like Ozdemir and Walker, who I know are good guys, especially Walker's been on quite a run recently. But still, you look at those fights, and he just really did not look good in either of those fights, especially when you think about that Ozdemir fight, because, Ozdemir is good, but, he just looked so terrible. That fight went the distance, so we got to see how he looks like in the third, and he just really didn't look good. There were times where he was going for a takedown, failing the takedown, and ending up in mount, almost like he pulled mount just to get on the ground. He was so desperate to even just get the fight down that he was willing to put himself in mount. And I don't know if he was trying to do that, but, he ended up in mount. And, the Johnny Walker fight, again, he just didn't really look – his fight IQ looked really bad. He didn't really look like he knew what he was trying to do. Ended up getting clipped, and, his chin isn't the best. And he ended up getting clipped at a weird angle from Johnny Walker like that, hurt bad, and finished in the first round. So, he came down to middleweight, fought Muniz. I thought he looked pretty good against Muniz, and finished him in the second round. And, it'll really depend when you're going up against a guy like Brendan Allen, who at least recently has been on a very, very good run, a 5-fight win streak. He's found himself ranked 10th. I think one of those wins was at light heavyweight, so he's on a 4-fight win streak at middleweight. Found himself ranked number 10 in the division. And, his last 3 wins have been all rear naked choke finishes, 2 of them in the first round. He finished Bruno Silva in the first round. That was a very good win, I thought. When we talk about Brendan Allen, we're talking about a guy who, he's on a 5-fight win streak, like I said, but his last fight loss was that TKO loss to Chris Curtis. But I think that he took that TKO to Chris Curtis. He got knocked out in the first round against Sean Strickland, which that win has aged very well for Brendan Allen now that Sean Strickland's the champion. And, Chris Curtis has been doing pretty well for himself, too. He's a kind of an on and off guy. He kind of trades wins and losses, but he's a good fighter, and he's good boxing. And I think that Brendan Allen, being the young guy that he is, learned from those losses, and he has improved his boxing and his striking in general a lot since those fights. Brendan Allen's boxing is a lot better. He dropped Bruno Silva badly before he subbed him. So he is a lot more well-rounded than Paul Craig, and that's where I think this fight is going to be won for Brendan Allen. His takedown game isn't anything to write home about, but he clearly has been working on it, and it is decent. He has taken guys down. He took down, he took down Andre Muniz. He took down Jotko. He has the ability to take guys down if he really wants to, and also his takedown defense is decent. It's 55%. It's nothing crazy like I said about his takedown offense. It's nothing ridiculous, but it is decent. And Paul Craig's is very bad. And considering that Paul Craig is a grappler, if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be on the ground. His takedown accuracy rate is only 23%. His takedown offense is very bad, and his takedown defense isn't great either. And even if we're not looking just at stats, if we're just looking at fights, when you watch him fight, he's not his wrestling isn't very good. He's more of like a pull guard kind of guy. And, I just think that Brendan Allen's grappling is very solid. He's only been subbed once, and he has 13 wins by sub. He's a BJJ black belt. So, and obviously Paul Craig has faced guys like Muniz who are very good grapplers as well. But, Brendan Allen subbed him. Brendan Allen submitted Muniz, which was very impressive, a very good win. You look at Paul Craig, like I said before, he has good wins, but he has bad losses too. And he's very dangerous off of his back, though, even later in the fight, which could play a role in this one. Even if Allen's winning, he has to watch out for that sub threat. But I think that one of the things that is important here is he's looked bad in a lot of his losses, and he's looked bad in some of his wins too. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look great against Ankalaev. He was losing that fight, and against Krylov, like I don't know if you guys remember that fight, but Krylov was landing some massive ground and pound shots on Paul Craig, and Paul Craig was kind of like letting him, giving him the space to land these huge shots, and he was trying to catch his arm, and he did catch his arm, and he did get the triangle, which was a good win, but like that's just such a dangerous game to play. And I know Krylov's a lot bigger than Allen, a lot more power behind his shots, so he's not as dangerous. Allen isn't as dangerous as Krylov is in that position, but still, that is there. Like even in these wins, besides the Hill win, even in a lot of his wins, he's not looking great before he gets the sub. Like I said before, the difference here, the main difference makers, I think, is going to be the striking and the offensive wrestling and the chin. Like the chin is going to be big. I know people are going to say how, Brendan Allen has been knocked out by Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis. Like, yeah, he has, but like Chris Curtis has power. You could tell just by looking at the guy that he has power, but he's huge. But also, like you look at his knockouts, like he does have power in his shots. Has Chris boxing when he catches you with a clean shot and he really puts his weight behind it. He does have that power. So does Strickland. People thought he didn't, but he does. When he really sits behind those punches, he does have power. So the guys that have stopped Allen are not like pillow punchers, really. Strickland kind of is. Like, I'm not saying he's like a one-shot KO guy, but he has proven that he does have some snap behind his shots. Whereas Craig, he just is chinny. He's been KO'd a couple times, like stiff. And he also has been dropped and wobbled. The Walker fight especially showed his chin is a bit of a weakness. And I think that Craig's willingness to give up takedowns or give up dominant positions to work off his back is going to really play a role here in giving up rounds. Like I could really see him, like I could see a round being like 1 or 2 minutes-ish on the feet, 1.5 minutes on the feet. Brendan Allen initiates a takedown. Maybe they go up against the fence. Maybe not. Maybe Paul Craig just pulls guard. Like he gets in, Brendan Allen gets in on a double. Paul Craig just transitions, pulls guard, and then, I think that Brendan Allen is going to have the ability to just stay away, defend the sub attempts, and then eventually pass Craig's guard, and just get out of danger, and then win rounds on top of Craig, hurt him with ground and pound, not even really KO him, just do some damage and work with ground and pound. And yeah, I just think that Allen's going to have the grappling ability and defensive jiu-jitsu to be able to survive in Craig's guard and not get submitted. And on the feet, I think it's going to be a mismatch. And there's even a chance that Brendan catches Craig and hurts him, possibly even puts him away. And, I don't think Craig's chin is too bad at middleweight. It's a pretty big weight cut. He is very, very shredded. So we'll have to see if that's going to affect his chin. My official prediction is going to be Brendan Allen by round 4 sub. Possibly a TKO in the first round, or maybe the second round if he's able to get going on the feet. But I don't see this one going the distance. Both guys have good finishing potential. Brendan Allen has an 81% finish rate, and Paul Craig has an 100% finish rate. And even in his losses, he's only been to the distance once, which was against Ozdemir. And so I don't see this one going the distance regardless, but I do see Brendan Allen winning this one. I think he's going to get the submission, as I said before, in the 4th round, maybe the 3rd. After, I think a lot of this fight will be on the ground. I think on the feet, it'll be clearly Brendan Allen winning. And I think Paul Craig will want to get this fight to the ground ASAP. And as a result, he will be willing to do something like pull guard or something kind of maybe not the smartest thing to do and end up in a bad position. And I don't think he'll be able to sub Brendan Allen off of his back. So, yeah, I think Brendan Allen will end up getting the win by way of submission. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fight prediction. It was just a quick one. I wanted to talk about this fight because it interested me a lot. I'll probably do another breakdown on the rest of the fights on the card. There's a couple bangers on this card. The co-main event, Moraes versus Matthews, is interesting. So yeah, I'll probably give my takes on those fights. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave any comments below what you guys agreed with, didn't agree with, any suggestions for things you'd like to see. And yeah, I'll see you guys.